Welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side live reaction. We are here after the Thunder bounced back in game two and beat the Pacers 123 to 107. My name is Joel Moran. Andrew Velez is here. Mr. Joe Dells is here. And John Tortorelli should be on as soon as he fixes his internet connection problem that he got going on right now. But, fellas, how are we doing?
I'm doing good, man. Some of us had Pacers in six. I'm doing well, though. I still have OKC in five. Don't feel as confident as I did coming into the series, if I'm going to be an honest man. However, game two, I felt confident that OKC would handle business. They went out there and put belt to ass. It was a good game, fun game. I care about one thing and one thing only. I think you guys know where I'm headed. Alex Caruso is the greatest role player in the history of basketball. It's that simple. I just love and adore that man. I'm doing great. Worked 12 hours today, and I got rewarded with an Alex Caruso masterclass. It doesn't get better than this, boys.
Who said Pacers in six?
Some of us said Pacers in six, Dells.
It's a lot of Pacers fans that probably said it.
Yes, sir.
I love them, but I wasn't the one who said Pacers in six.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't you.
Shout out to the Pacers fans in the comment section. You guys have been killing it. You guys got to have some belief and faith in your team. That's for sure. Dels, what did you think about what you watched tonight?
Yeah, this was the performance I was expecting from the Thunder, if I'm being honest. You know, it's easy to get caught up in what the Pacers did in game one, and it's not like they didn't deserve it. They took that game from OKC, but the Thunder have shown, not just in the playoffs where they're 5-0, coming off losses, but in the regular season. You know, when you go 68-14 in the regular season, there's not many times where you go on a losing streak where you could lose back-to-back games or 2 and 3 games. That's just not the team the Thunder's been really this entire season. So I expected them to handle business. And even with that being said, it felt like the Pacers had opportunities really at the, kind of halfway point in the second quarter. They cut to like 13 or so. And I'm like, okay, this could be it. But then the Thunder just did what they did consistently all night, was just being able to answer every single run the Pacers were able to get to. And really the biggest takeaway I had from Indiana was just the lack of self-creation definitely can show. I think when you see Halliburton struggle as much as he did throughout those first 3 quarters, 5 points going into the fourth, he was really not able to create advantages. And I feel like that showed pretty early on this game. And what Halliburton was able to do in the fourth quarter of game one is he was being aggressive, right? He was being able to hit floaters. He was hitting threes. We didn't see that really at all from him here in this game. So Thunder did what I thought they were going to do. Got huge contributors off the bench. Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso were amazing. Hartenstein, we saw more of the double big lineup. I feel like that was a huge positive for the Thunder. And this Shea game is exactly what we were talking about in game one. It's like, this is what you can't have happen. Shea can't have 34 on 20 shots, get to the free throw line 12 times. You can't have that level of Shea, because in game one, although he had 38, he only has, 34, 36 tonight. It was a lot more difficult for him. And since he was taking so many shots in game one, it was harder for some of the other guys involved to get going. You saw Chet in this game, in that first half, come out, looked like a completely different player from game one, right? J-Dub didn't have as great of a game or a bounce back, but still better than game one. So the others were able to get involved. But overall, Thunder took care of business. I think they had to. Can't go down 0-2. But the Pacers still got fight in them.
The Thunder have been the best team when bouncing back from a loss in these NBA playoffs. They are undefeated. They are a plus 98 after a loss in the NBA playoffs. And what SGA is doing right now is historic. First 2 NBA Finals games, he has 72 points. That's the most points by a player in their first 2 NBA Finals game of anybody in NBA history. The record before was Allen Iverson in 2001 when he had 71 points. SGA beat that by 1 point. Game one, he had 38 points. And then in game two, he has 34 points, but also 8 assists. Compared to game one, where he had 3 assists, he was dictating the game, much more patient on offense, making the correct passes, and he was being rewarded because OKC hit shots. OKC is the first team since the 2019 Raptors to have 5 players score 15 plus points in a game. J-Dub played really well, although not the most efficient. I thought J-Dub played a solid game today. Shea was incredible. Chet was awesome in the first quarter, and then Alex Caruso and Aaron Wiggins, the sparks that both of them provided. Aaron Wiggins had what, 5 threes? Caruso might have hit 3 or 4 threes, plus what he did in transition and on defense. This is one of the most well balanced, put together teams in NBA history. And it's also being led by one of the most gifted scorers that this league has ever seen in Shea Gilgeous Alexander. And we saw him dominate. And then the team also dominated on both ends as well.
No, W Glaze. W Glaze. And I mean that sincerely. Like, you really know how to, I don't want to use the word manipulate because that sounds negative. And I'm not trying to be negative here because there's nothing that we should be talking negative when it comes to Oklahoma City. Shea was unbelievable today. I love what I saw from Chet early on in the game. I wish we would have seen that level of aggressiveness continue throughout the entirety of the game. Nevertheless, we talked about it. It was a team effort, a great team effort by them. And Tyrese Halliburton didn't look comfortable. It got to a point where he had, in a point in the game, he had 4 assists, 5 turnovers. That's just not the Tyrese Halliburton that we know and who we've been accustomed to this playoffs. And of course, basically the entirety of his career. The claim to fame for Tyrese is how well he's been able to take care of the ball. And in these first 2 games, Oklahoma still has done an amazing job of being themselves, going out there and making the opposing team uncomfortable, forcing turnovers, getting points off of those turnovers. They did a great job of making Tyrese extremely uncomfortable in this game. Second half, he had a little bit of a run going. The Pacers as a whole had a little bit of a run going, got it to within 14, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. But Oklahoma just did a great job of just weathering the storm and just continuing to play strong basketball. And again, a lot of that goes to the role players that came off the bench and gave them a great spark throughout this game. A great team W from Oklahoma City, and Shea continuing his level of dominance. And I think that, of course, we talk about the Pacers after game 1, and rightfully so. They were able to steal a game they shouldn't have. But I thought Shea was pretty damn good in that game too. And a lot of people were discrediting him because of the amount of shots that he took and how many shots it took for him to get to the points that he had. It was a clean game by the Pacers defensively. And this one, it wasn't that much. And of course, we saw what SGA was able to do in terms of getting to the free throw line and, of course, making his will felt. I thought it was a great performance by OKC, and I'm excited for 3 days down the line to watch game 3.
Yeah, it does feel like, as we predicted, OKC still has more answers for the Pacers than vice versa. Right, like even going forward into games 2 and game 3, it still feels like this is easier for OKC to repeat than what the Pacers do. And to be fair, the Pacers have done it, throughout these playoffs, making these insane comebacks. But the Thunder and what they're able to do on both sides of the ball, and what really scares me the most is just, can the Pacers actually run consistent offense in the half court against the Thunder? Is Halliburton going to be able to create enough advantages? Same with Pascal Siakam. Are they going to be able to consistently break down the Thunder when they absolutely have to? We saw it at times during game 1, but I thought more than anything, the Thunder kind of let that slip through their thumbs, right? Like that was a game you have to have. That's really uncharacteristic of the Thunder, as we've seen all season long. So I still think the Thunder, what they're able to do, they're able to repeat, is just more likely going forward. With that being said, Indiana and their home court's been crazy this year, and they feed off that energy. And Tyrese, if he's going to have one of those games, it's going to be on his home court, because we really didn't get one within these first 2 games here. I mean, he ended with 17 tonight, but it was 14 in game 1, and this was a fake 17. Like, reality, feels like he's averaging 10 points a game in these finals. So he needs to really set tone next game, be aggressive. Even if you're missing some of those shots, you need to be a threat on offense before the Thunder really make it easy to guard you.
In order for this to be a series, the Pacers needed to steal 1 on the road. They did that. And now they're going back home with a 1-1 lead. And now you're hoping to split again at home against a team as good as OKC. So I think the Pacers have done their job in just winning a game. But how it's been done, it is a bit alarming, because Halliburton, game 1, for the majority of the game, he was kind of silent. The game winner was an awesome all-time moment, and that kind of removed everything he did beforehand. But that was a solid game. And then this game, he has 17 points, but really before garbage time, he scored 12 in the fourth quarter. And I thought that they did a lot of good things off the ball to get him going off of dribble handoffs and not having him on the ball so much so he wasn't getting pressured the entire way. and that freed him up, and it freed up more driving lanes. So I think that's something that they'll try to deploy moving forward in game 3. But for the most part, Halliburton was very quiet. Siakam really hasn't had last game, he had 19 and 10. This game, 15 points, 3 for 11. He didn't play well at all. He's shooting very inefficiently. And that's with OKC playing a very small lineup in the starting lineup. But it just there's no disadvantages. Even somebody like Cason Wallace, who is 6'4", who should be a disadvantage on Pascal Siakam, he's just able to play the ball so well and play so physical that he's able to keep Siakam off his spots. I think that the Pacers' real issue is their lack of paint touches. Halliburton in game 1 had 8 drives. He had 0 paint touches. They overall as a team had more paint touches than OKC in game 1. But in game 2, OKC did a much better job at walling off the paint and drives. And that's why most of Halliburton's passes are on the pick and pop to the 3-point line, or he's dribbling the ball back, or he's jumping in the air and making a cross court pass to the corner. Those are the passes that OKC is willing to live with, because those passes that have to travel further, OKC is betting on the length and the speed that their guys have to consistently close out on defense. So that's why they're giving that up. But Halliburton is unable to touch the paint. I don't think there was a moment in this game where he got to the paint and was
It's hard to
able
get by guys. He can't get by guys.
You can't, exactly. And that's the thing that OKC is so good at, is that they're able to wall you off. And this was the same thing in game 1. Pacers just shot, what was it, 47% from 3, but a lot of their shots are deep threes, outside shots, because they cannot get deeper into the paint in the half court.
Yeah.
And game 2 was an example of those shots not going in, and also them not getting easy buckets and consistently collapsing a defense, because OKC is just that good.
Yeah, it's tough for them to break down the defense. It's tough for Halliburton to get by anybody guarding one-on-one. Siakam is obviously someone that can use finesse, can use strength, a little bit of both, but not someone that's, creating, really initiating, creating offense consistently for you. Like, he's going to be doing it. But ideally, it's Halliburton, the one creating most of those advantages, because of how special he is as a creator and as a passer. And then beyond that, Nembhard, we definitely see moments where Nembhard can take over. But again, you're asking him to really level up here against the best defense in basketball. So it feels like everyone's just a step behind, where, like, I don't think Halliburton is as good as a scorer to be a number 1 against this OKC defense. I don't know if Siakam is as good enough as a number 2 in terms of creating for others. I don't know if Nembhard is good enough to be a number 3 against this level of defense. It's really credit to the Thunder, because, like you said, there's nobody that can that you can really create an advantage on. But it's also like the Pacers, this was still a team that's, I think, coming into its own, right? Like, it's still a team that is probably bar for bar not on the Thunder's level right now. It's 1-1, and I know we're glazing the Thunder a ton, and the Pacers can make us look stupid. But this is how I felt kind of coming into the series. And through 2 games, I haven't really seen anything that makes me think otherwise.
John Tortorelli is here.
Hello, gentlemen. John. Great to see you guys. I have been listening the entire time, so I've been able to kind of articulate some thoughts. And I do agree with you guys, of course, in the sense that Oklahoma City's defense is such a strong unit at preventing you from getting good and really getting to the rim and getting touches in the paint. And I feel like for Indiana, it's going to come down to, in game 3, Rick Carlisle finding ways to manufacture paint touches. And the second half of this game, we saw a little bit of that, where Halliburton's 3 points in the first half, you're waiting for him to give you something. And game 1-2 was a quiet one. It just turned out he had the biggest shot of the game to decide it. And you saw Indiana starting to get some actions on the side of the court, whether it's going to be a handoff, getting him to attack downhill, something simple, whether it's opening the floater, a jump pass, and it's getting him to attack some drop coverage, especially when Isaiah Hardenstein's in the game. If Indiana can do more of that earlier in game 1, it's going to open up the floor for them. And I feel like you guys highlighted a bit, Halliburton's not someone who's going to break down the premier point of attack defenders that Oklahoma City has to offer. But if you're able to kind of use screens, gain him on the side of the floor, and opening up the space, I think they could find some ways to attack this Oklahoma State defense and get better quality looks, because that's what it's going to come down to if they want to win this series and build off of game 1, where it was an Obi Toppin masterclass. He was able to keep it within striking distance. They did not get that today. Now, on the other side of things, Oklahoma State's bench was able to really pick up the slack.
And I'm not going to say that the Pacers shot terrible. It's just they didn't shoot the crazy clip that they shot in game 1. 35% from 3 is okay. But like we all are going to talk about, when you're Tyrese Halliburton, and not that you are bad necessarily at one-on-one and trying to attack in that regard, but it's obviously not your biggest strength. We know his biggest strength is obviously playmaking. We understand that it's the Indiana Pacers' strength as a whole to get out and run. The issue is you're going up against the most versatile defense in the NBA. And the way that Lou Dort played today, simply, he was one of the MVPs today as well. His defense on Tyrese Halliburton was excellent, almost start to finish. In the fourth quarter, the game was really over. But Tyrese Halliburton, again, for the majority, he really struggled to really leave his mark on this game early on. But I agree with you also when you talked about Pascal Siakam not having the best game. I think that when you throw the double big lineup in that mix as well, and you really try to clog up the paint, you really make it difficult for them to dribble, drive, and kick. It really becomes difficult for Indiana. But again, we've seen them in a lot of these situations in the playoffs look like, oh, teams haven't figured out, they have another answer. So I'm interested to see how Carlisle draws up a game plan for game 3. How are they going to work on trying to space out the floor a little better? Or how are they going to try to work on getting downhill and getting to the basket and have more efficient looks in that regard as well?
I think we're on the verge of seeing an all-time scoring series from Shea. He's averaging 36, 5, and 5 through 2 games with 3.5 steals on 60% true shooting. Indiana has no answer for him. I think it's inevitable that we're going to get at least one 40-point game from him in this series. I think he could finish off this series averaging 35-plus points. And I think we're on the verge of witnessing an all-time great offensive performance from him consistently. We've gotten it already for 2 games. Game 1, he might have missed the last shot, but he had 38 points, and he was by far OKC's most impactful offensive player. Everybody else didn't have it going. I think that overall, this game was a masterclass. This was an A+, A++. Game 1 was also a very solid debut finals game, though.
And it felt like despite him having 38 points in game 1, that relative today was not the same. Whereas, especially when he was able to kind of snake the pick and roll high up, and then he's immediately going to have a 2-on-1 situation. He was making the right reads consistently. Defensively, wasn't his best showing in game 1. Today, he was way better. But when you have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander consistently being you in pick and roll, and then making the right read again, while giving you an uber efficient 34 points, that's where it's a completely different ball game. And tonight, that set the tone. I mean, it felt like Indiana, they're maybe having to change a little bit the way that they're defending the pick and roll. Maybe they're going under a little bit more, but they're meeting him high up at the top of the screen. And then from there, he's able to really manipulate that. And if he's giving you an A+ or an A-level game as a playmaker, this team becomes way harder to beat.
John, you had the Pacers in 6, didn't you?
Not for this series.
No?
I didn't announce it, but I had the Thunder in 6 coming in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's always you don't
So
announce
wait,
it until a couple games into it.
Who had Pacers in 6?
Nobody on the show.
Nope. We all picked the
Nobody
Thunder.
on the show.
Nope. Nobody on the show had him.
Interesting.
I
Because
think
I
we're all in
think
the
a
same room.
certain somebody dropped a certain shoe. I saw somebody respond to that player.
Oh shit.
Seemed to be a little excited. And I could have swore I saw somebody write down Pacers in 6. Maybe I'm wrong.
Might have been somebody you know.
I think it is somebody I know. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because there's a strong chance that I screenshotted it. Bro, I got to cop every colorway now. The way you move, it's like the Clutch Gene got a signature dance. Keep cooking. Pacers in 6.
Yeah,
Don't
you're crazy,
say
bro.
I didn't warn
You're
them.
crazy. You're crazy.
Wow. Wowie kazowie.
Where
Sorry.
is that even like his worst one? Like some of the Mahomes ones were fake crazy because it's always big bro. It's always I look up to you. It's always
The
I
Mahomes
love
ones
you.
are disgusting.
Yeah, that one isn't even his craziest.
At least
Oh,
you know
no,
they're
far
satire,
from.
though. You can discern satire versus having fun.
Yeah, shout out to Hallie. I hope that he saw it and chuckled a little bit. That's what I do it for.
Pacers in 6. Don't say he didn't warn you guys.
Don't say it. No, I meant to tweet
Now
it on
he's
my
got both
burner.
sides.
Yeah,
Now
I meant to
he's-
tweet it
he's
on my
chilling.
burner. Yeah, I have stake in both. I actually just got a Pacers conference champion shirt.
What
today.
stake do you have in OKC exactly?
Yeah, you've hated him this entire run.
You've got a Pacers
Like
conference
genuinely,
championship
like
shirts.
I actually have zero clue what stake you have in
Not entire run. I would say like game 6, second round.
From
So hold up.
who?
Let's read the super
What?
chat. Yaya Jalo. Y'all saw Tyrese Halliburton getting transferred from the Dorser chamber.
This game was
Yeah.
terrible. He was
did.
he was bad.
Is Tyrese did not have a good game. In OKC, well, I got a big stake in SGA
Oh,
and
You're
Chet
done.
Holmgren.
I told you that you were done weeks ago.
You're not the head of SGA fan club.
No, I'm the head of OKC fandom when it comes to pick a side.
No, you're
You're
not.
cooked.
No, you're not.
You're not on the wave. You said
Chet
they were losing round 2.
Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein,
Chet
former
Holmgren,
Nick.
who you're done with 2.
Once a
saying who's
Nick,
better than him.
always a Nick. Isaiah Hartenstein.
Interesting.
Oh, I love me some Isaiah Joe. I like Isaiah Joe, a good shooter.
Spell
He
Isaiah.
hasn't been impactful. ISAIAH.
Are you confident in that?
Yeah, it depends. His Isaiah isn't spelled like Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is different. Isaiah is like Isaiah Thomas. But no, I just got my Pacers conference champion shirt.
Yeah, why'd you
in the
cop
mail.
that?
I didn't cop it. It was sent to me by Ron from Players Choice.
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
Okay.
I have to-
That's,
I have
that's
to wear
awfully
it.
strange.
Yeah, I have to wear it because the Knicks lost,
I respect that. Man of his word.
and he wasn't gonna send me a Halliburton
Doesn't have it
shirt.
on.
It was too generous if he just sent me a Halliburton shirt.
Because
He had
that's
to
something
send
you
me a
actually
Pacers
wear.
one. Oh, for sure. I told him at first, I said, send me this shirt. And the shirt was Halliburton overrated shirt. Basically, like him
that's tough.
mocking the statement. But then he was like, nah, I'm gonna send you what I'll pick you. And I'm like,
Real.
okay, whatever.
Good.
But yeah, he got the 1 day free shipping. It's here already. It was cool, comfortable
There you
shirt.
go.
Nice
You're
shirt.
going on the show tomorrow?
Probably. It was never a stipulation for me to wear it on the show, just on Player's
okay.
Choice.
You just
But I
gonna
might
take a selfie?
I might rock it, Got nothing against
Good
Halliburton
year.
and the Pacers. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna rock it.
Got nothing against Halliburton and the Pacers.
Nope, just a better team won. That's it. ZK goes, Joe, us Oklahoma fans do not claim you at all.
CK, he's the head of the OKC fan club.
Yes,
So.
I mean Oklahoma Sooners, Oklahoma State. I don't give a shit.
See, look, like statements like that, like how in
Yeah.
God's name can you be?
Is there an
embraced in
Oklahoma NFL team? No,
No.
there isn't.
For a little
there-
bit, there's 2 in Missouri, but no.
Is there Oklahoma team with baseball in the MLB?
Nope.
Come on, they're not that cared about.
It's college and the Thunder.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, respect.
You have
that
no
environment a
stake in
little bit.
Oklahoma. That's all I. That's the
Still the
only
loudest
point
finals
that needs to
environments
be
we've
made.
seen.
Well, I do. I have a stake in Baker Mayfield. So he's from
What
Oklahoma.
number did he wear at Oklahoma?
6.
You sure about that?
He's pretty much worn 6 everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6.
He really has.
Yeah.
He wasn't 6 with the Rams, wasn't he?
Nah, he wasn't.
He changed it, right?
He was an awkward
Was he
number.
19 with the Rams? That's an insane
17.
guess.
17.
17. That's
17.
even worse.
It was a weird ass number.
Not my favorite.
So Jay Greedo goes, what do you guys think would help Hallie score more early in the games? I think running him more off-ball actions instead of him calling for a screen at the top of the key every time, because whenever he is trying to attack downhill off that screen, they wall off the driving lanes. There's no driving lanes for him to attack. And they basically send 2 to him, and then he's forced to make that pop pass at the top for a 3-point shot, but then they close out so fast and then the ball just swings. I thought in the fourth quarter, although like garbage stats in the totality of the game didn't impact it really as a score.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, they were running more off-ball actions to get him freed up, to manufacture those paint touches, and just to get him going more. So I think that is something in game 3 that I'm looking for, just him moving without the ball off more dribble handoff actions and getting it and having a downhill lane to drive. I think that's what we're going to see more of in game 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you could use that, or if you could use what he does a great job of, if he's coming down off a screen or just a dribble handoff near the 3-point line. He has one of the better pump fakes too that you see guys jump for all the time. So if you could either get him going downhill or just on the perimeter too, where he's able to create an advantage like that. But the easy answer is just some transition buckets. You know, this Thunder team is incredibly difficult to break down the half court, but they're also one of the best, if not the best, transition defense as well. So it's difficult to find those opportunities. But the few opportunities you do have, Hallie needs to get the ball. He needs to get downhill. Or, of course, just hit its one those shooters in the corners that they've been doing all playoffs long.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of having them hard too. I mean, Jay highlighted in the chat. I felt like at the end of last game, every single possession started with Andrew Nemhard taking it up. And he had Halliburton kind of above the break, but off the ball. And that's the beauty of having a second point guard that can initiate the offense from atop the key. So Carlisle is one of the best, if not the very best coach when it comes to X's and O's. So I've got full confidence he'll make some adjustments in game 3. And then it's going to come down Indiana hitting some shots.
Best coach in X's and O's.
Who would you say it's a better
One
X's
of,
and
who
O's
said?
coach?
I'm just going to go on a limb, just Spo. It's always going to be my answer when it comes to anything coaching related.
What does Spo run?
It's
I don't
a
think we
lot of
can,
prayer
I don't
with
think we can
Bam
measure
Adebayo.
X's and O's. Rick Carlisle is one of the better coaches with X's and O's.
No,
though.
no doubt.
Don't
No,
understand.
I thought he
He's
said
one
the
of the best.
very best. Just
Carlisle, I feel, is offensively, like I feel like more of an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
Spell probably more defensive.
I think that
know?
he'll find a solution. It might not. I mean, OKC is a great defense anyway. So who knows how successful it's going to be, but I think they'll have a better answer. OKC's been the best team bouncing back. They're 5-0 after a loss in the playoffs with a plus 98, plus minus. They
Pacers probably have a
dominate.
good record too. I don't know what their record is, but they've been pretty awesome too. They only have a few losses.
OKC dominates after they lose. Game 1 definitely felt like more of a fill-out game, but I think for OKC, it's really just going to come down to a lot of the shooting variants. Like Aaron Wiggins came into this game and shot 5 threes. Alex Caruso shot 1 for 4 last game and made 3 or 4 threes in this one. So that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to if OKC's role players hit shots and they're playing as well as they did tonight defensively, it's just going to be very hard for Indiana to beat them anyway.
not bad for a black hole on offense, man. Shout out to Alex Caruso. Turning it around.
Far from, not a black hole. Okay, shout out to Saucy. We claim Joe as OKC fans. I'm pretty
Joe
sure
veto that or no?
Joe Mama.
Saucy. I don't know him, unfortunately, but now I do, and he's now the person in my mind that is claiming me as an OKC fan. I mean, he knows he's been here.
You said Joe. I don't know who Joe is.
I'm Joe.
Not Joe in the show.
It's either me or John or Dels. I mean, Dels, it could be you.
Dels is a big advocate of Thunder.
I definitely don't root for OKC. No way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's
No, because
Riv.
they're the cooler Boston.
No, they're the lamer Boston.
No, they're 30 times cooler than you guys.
Nah. They try too hard.
The only thing saving
do
you
it- we
guys
do it
from
more
being cool
effortlessly.
legitimately is Jaylen Brown. Like, dude's awesome.
I feel like with Boston, everybody didn't want them to win last year. I think with OKC, everybody doesn't want them to win this year for the most part. I think there's a lot of pushback to them rising to the very top. Like
I don't know.
before,
A lot of my
agree with that.
timeline's hating on the Pacers.
Yeah.
Probably have a lot of people that
they
like
they
the
just had a
Nets.
bad game. But I think the Shea foul baiting has kind of been at the top of playoff narratives this year.
I feel like it's a social media narrative. If
Yes.
people dislike Oklahoma City, to me, I feel like it's more so a narrative that people kind of join in with. But when you watch Oklahoma City, Shea's fun to watch. And you can make that case about Benedict Mathurin. In the Knicks series, we saw him being able to generate a lot of contacts. And you could say foul bait too. I think it goes for both sides. And a lot of people will complain, well, Oklahoma City is able to get away with more. But when you're in position defensively, it's a lot easier to get away with more contact because it's more marginal to the referee. So I feel like it's kind of annoying. It's like if you love basketball, you love the team. And at the end of the day, I feel like people that don't like Oklahoma City, I mean, you're rooting against history. It's the youngest team of all time we've seen at this current point.
Every winning team gets hated on when they reach the point where they're actually a threat to continue to do it at a very high level. Boston is just a very hated franchise in general, but they've also been one of the best teams in the NBA for years now. So that was a natural thing people gravitated towards. OKC was this awesome rebuild that everybody loved. And then this year, when they're dominant, people are pushing back against it. It's kind of like the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs at first, when Mahomes was threw 50 touchdowns in his first year as a starter. Everybody loved him. Then they started to win, and everybody's like, oh, we don't like the Chiefs. They're cheating. The refs are cheating for them.
Listen, this is the most people are going to like the Thunder. Even with the hate they get going forward, they're not going to be liked anymore because this feels like a team that's destined to win more than one championship. I won't put a cap on it. I don't know, but it feels like a team that's going to be able to stick together. The second apron is not going to hit them for a long time. So even though people hate on them in the SGA narrative now, if they continue to win, like they're really still in like the baby phase of where they are. Like this is their first time reaching past the second round with this group, right? Like this is really their first time being on this type of stage. I think a lot of people could kind of see where this is going to go, and it's going to go well beyond this year and probably the next few.
And it's kind of weird how it all transitioned into that way because we thought we were out of the dynasty era when the second apron hit. We're now in the parity era of the league where we've had 6 different champions in the last 6 years. But then we have a team like OKC with Sam Presti that has rebuilt so perfectly and has planned 10 steps ahead to prepare for the second apron penalties to where they're not going to face them like your normal team. You mentioned it, Dels. This is a young team with Chet basically in his second full season as a starter that made the NBA Finals. Chet's only going to get better. J-Dub's only going to get better. Shea isn't even in the middle of his prime yet. He's 26 years old. They have that depth, and while those role players around them are going to go other places to fetch out bigger contracts with time, they have the draft picks to replace all of those players. Like there is no team that is better equipped to handle the second April moving forward than OKC.
Mm-hmm. And a big part of that's Sam Presti's ability to kind of maximize assets. It is funny because I want to credit Legend of Winning, who highlighted this, that people for years said they want a new champion. You've been getting that every single year for the last 5-6 seasons. They want a team with more mid-range because of nostalgia of what we got when we were NBA fans when we were younger. You want a team that wasn't necessarily a super team. This Oklahoma City team's historic, so you can say it is. You can argue it isn't. But all the things that people have wanted super for team. Years, you're getting. Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, they're tied. They broke the point differential
record. Did you say, Joel?
Super team.
It's an incredible
team. You're a dumbass, bro.
I wouldn't say it's a super team, Drew, but it's a historic team. And I think you'll leave it at that. Historic.
They have the second best net rating all time.
Yeah. It's only behind the greatest team ever.
Are the 96 Bulls a super team?
Yeah, it's the greatest team of all time.
They're a super team? I think we're losing the recipe.
No,
boys. Like what a super team actually
I think a super
is.
team's just like a loaded team.
Just because you're better than everybody else does not make you a super team.
That's fair.
They're nuts.
But I think the point that I'm trying to get at is that for years, people have searched for different things in a champion, and the Thunder are mostly that. You're getting a lot of what people look for such a long time. And people now are watching this team, and it's funny. You'll see it every now and then. Like the second apron's going to hit this team like a black plague because you're not going to pay him for a while. But once you do, you're paying all these guys at once, so to speak. And like you highlighted, Dels, I think you made a great point. Like this is just the onset. Chet has played 114 career games. Like this is a team that is still so young relative to every single team we'll see on this stage.
The Bulls are definitely a super team for their era.
Yeah. Well, the 96 Bulls, that's the best. That's the greatest team of all time.
Kevin Durant has upped the standard of what a modern day super team is.
An anomaly,
but
honestly.
that is like Super Saiyan God of super teams.
Are the 2016 Warriors a super team?
No.
All right, then let's stop talking about it.
No. But Klay Thompson isn't what Scottie Pippen was.
What about this Oklahoma City team?
It's a historic team.
It is a historic team. I don't think it's a super team, but it is a historic team. The 96 Bulls for their era definitely were a super team, just like the Heatles were a super team.
It's 2 stars. They're 2 stars.
Dennis Rodman was a star in that era.
I guess
Tony Kukoc was like
Draymond's a star.
Tony Kukoc was like the best 6 man in the league in that era.
Same way that Draymond's a star. Same way that I guess Jordan Poole in 2022 was averaging 19 on 50-40. Like I guess
the difference is that Klay Thompson was the second option for 2016, and with the Bulls, the second option was Scottie Pippen, who in 1995 was top 5 in MVP voting when MJ retired.
Scottie was elite.
They had 2 superstar players.
When you've
like
got
2
MJ,
MVP caliber
yeah.
players.
When you've got MJ and Scotty at the peak of their play, and you're the first defense, first offense, first net rating,
Well, they had the greatest player, arguably of all time.
What's
Yeah,
the
who's
last
the
super team? series,
Rodman's
Drew?
the best rebounder in the league.
The
He's got
last
the best
super
six-man.
team
You had
to me was
Ron Harper.
2018.
The Warriors.
So KD Warriors.
Yeah.
Okay.
The super teams have been the KD Warriors. I think the 2021 Nets, if they were healthy for a long period of time, we would have looked
That's a
at them
W,
like that.
Cook.
Yeah, I agree.
The Heatles,
No doubt.
the Celtics with Ray, KG,
100%.
Pierce, Rondo. I thought those were super teams. I don't think but this is the thing.
No,
is like,
all right, question. Are the 2000 Lakers a super team? Are the 2022 Lakers a super team?
2022?
2 MVP candidates.
2020?
Yeah.
22. No. 2002.
Oh.
2 MVP candidates. Shaq and Kobe. Kobe was top 5 in MVP voting. Might as well.
They didn't have the third guy. I think that's it.
I wouldn't say this Oklahoma City team is a super team, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
say that.
but they were
just got the
dominant.
accolades.
Yeah.
This
Dominant
OKC
is
great
team's
word.
got
Like that's the
accolades.
thing. I think OKC is just
No,
a
they
historic
don't.
team.
No, I'm just saying from a roster perspective, like Shea's the MVP,
Okay.
Jada was all defense and all NBA.
Let me
And
Chet's
all-star.
like a
apologize. I thought you meant
borderline
team-wise.
all-star.
Apologize.
Yeah. Just going down the roster, just the individual stuff they got.
But what you're saying, John, overall about like OKC, they've been able
it's
to do
accurate.
this so quickly. They're young, and this is just cementing them like all time. This is an all-time great season being cemented by a championship.
Mhm.
As the
I agree
series
with
is
you, John.
1-1 going to Indy.
And the word super team, it kind of loses meaning too when you look at, say, like the Lakers and they got Gary Payton and you add
04.
in
Mhm.
you add in exactly. You add in another player that won an MVP. You could say it's a super team, but it was a disappointment. It was a failure. You could say that about the Lakers and they got Dwight Howard and Steve Nash. So I feel like that's where it kind of loses its meaning. It's like you could be a super team and still a huge disappointment. That super team, it's nowhere near a team like this year's Oklahoma City team. So I feel like it's kind of a buzzword we use nowadays in NBA kind of discourse.
Your main point, though.
Question, Dels. It's Mr. Smarty Pants McGillicuddy. 2023 Celtics, are they a super team or no?
2024?
Last year's Celtics, saying?
Thank you. I apologize.
Probably not. No.
Probably not.
Dominant
but this OKC team is.
Well, the Celtics didn't have an MVP candidate.
Ooh,
People weren't putting
indicative
Tatum
on somebody.
and people weren't putting Tatum
Yo,
and SJ in the
Del,
same
I
conversation.
quit while I'm
just saying what people told me.
This is
like
also
Shea
what Dels
Tatum
thinks.
wouldn't
should
be
be
in the
what you
same
think.
conversation.
John, he's incriminating himself.
we
Yeah,
didn't have a
this is
second
bad.
All
This
NBA
is
player
very
like
bad.
J Dub. We didn't have a second All NBA player like J Dub.
Yes, you
Jaylen
did.
Brown was not
Jaylen
last
Brown.
year. No,
But
Jaylen
he's
Brown
an
was
all
an
NBA
last
player.
year.
NBA player the
Yeah,
year before.
didn't get it though. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. Just wasn't good enough. First seed wasn't good enough.
You have a good point.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Just didn't
But
get
he
the
has
recognition they
one.
deserved. I think.
You should have played the fifth.
No, John, what you're saying though, the entire point of what Lowe said is accurate. A lot of older fans that criticize today's game, the reasons they use to criticize today's games, one of the biggest statements they make is they don't play defense. OKC not only plays defense, they play the most physical style brand defense that we've seen in a very, very long time. OKC shoots a lot of mid-range shots. They aren't at the top of the league in three-point volume. What is a common critique of today's game? They do nothing but shoot threes. OKC is the opposite of that. So OKC is kind of the opposite of what older fans have criticized the modern NBA for being. Yet this team, the narrative on them that's dominated is like the free throws and Shea and how he scores. That's really what it's been. But they are a representation of everything that older fans of the league should love.
I mean, we saw the Nuggets 2 years ago. Like the Nuggets 2 years ago, they're obviously not close to what the Boston was in 2024 in terms of shooting. We've seen teams not lead the league in shooting in terms of attempts or even be near the top of the league and still have success and still reach the finals and win the finals. So people, they're just going to complain at this point because we've been saying for years, if you want different brands of basketball that's out there, like the Pacers and the Thunder do not play like each other whatsoever, and they're meeting in the finals because multiple ways of playing can get you success, right? Like, although threes are getting more popular, it's not the only thing that's going on in the sport.
K. Dan Richardson sent 2 super chats. This is the other one with the comment. Thunder in 5. Hallie is a clutch merchant. And, you know, the
Not a
goal.
bad thing, I mean, a clutch
I'll
merchant.
be honest. I'd love to be called a clutch merchant.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good
I mean, the
merchant to
goal
be.
for OKC is not to be in clutch situations. And today was a
That's
good
like
job of
being a
doing that.
winning merchant.
Mm.
It's basically like the same being a winning merchant.
John,
See?
where do you stand on the statement that people are making that if Halliburton wins
That shit was
an
crazy.
NBA championship, he's already passing Chris Paul?
He ain't messing with prime Chris Paul to me. 'Cause in the playoffs, Chris Paul got even better. It wasn't like in the regular season he was a top 5 player, and no. Chris Paul in the postseason took it up a different level. I do think maybe end of his career got that conversation, but and that was Chris Paul is my favorite point guard of all time. I feel like at this point,
John, quick question.
that was drawn.
Wait,
hear it.
Chris Paul's your favorite point guard of all time?
He is. He's really grown on me.
Where did this come from?
It's been something over the years. It's just more and more kind of riveted me. But I've always been a very strong Chris Paul fan, and I think historically, as I've looked back and learned more about his career, I've just become a bigger and bigger.
You know what,
fan.
John? I love that. It's beautiful, genuinely. You know, but I just remember in your tenure of being a Phoenix Sun fan.
Yeah, Devin Booker is my
It
guy.
was more Devin Booker centric.
Yeah, it was.
Are you back to being a Suns fan, or you never stopped?
I don't know.
Because they suck now, so you could be back in.
John, who's your
I don't know
next
how to
team?
describe it, but yeah, in a weird
Who's
way.
your next
yeah,
team that you're like, yo, I'm excited for their rebrand?
for the Suns.
No. Just in general, because I know, like, I'll give it to you. You know how to pick them.
Thank
The
you.
Suns, they went to the finals. They fell short. The Nuggets championship. Like, I'm
Grizzlies?
wondering who's next.
The
Grizzlies,
Magic. The Magic
should
are
left
next
that
for
one
me.
out.
The Magic.
Um,
All right.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm here.
And the Chris Paul love, I think it really started with his play in New Orleans. And I see people now in the comments highlighting he's had injuries in the later stretch of his career, but it's so easy to forget who Chris Paul was in his first 5-6 seasons. And that's the player that I
He's a
think
demon.
that version of him that I fall in love with the most.
I mean, John, were you like 5 years old? when
Yeah,
you
you
got-
were. Yeah, I mean,
I was
young
2 when he
watching
was drafted. So
it. Yeah, pretty damn young.
If you were 3 when he was drafted, it would have been a perfect story, book ending.
who knows? Who knows?
John, Hallie with the ring clears Harden.
I would never say clears. I prefer to have him running my offense in the playoffs.
Okay, all right.
And
Wow.
I mean, if he
Harden's
wins
the
a
better
championship, what's there to be said? You know, like
We should get it out there for the record. Harden's the better player, but in the postseason, I believe Halliburton. It's kind of ironic because it's probably one of the strongest takes I think I've ever had, and I've always felt that I'd rather have my point guard with the play style of Halliburton, where he's impacting the game more for his teammates. And I feel like his style of play has been a lot more constructive to elevate in the postseason. Despite his play in these first 2 finals games not being too pretty, we've seen it manifest with some very clutch performances throughout this run. I think this postseason by Halliburton, it's signature in a way that very few other point guards could have. So I'd rather have him running my offense.
Do you
And they're
not take
defenders.
into account how they are both guarded?
It's definitely a lot different. And that's partly because of their play style.
And also, just one is a dominant scorer that you have to send to all the time.
In the playoffs, he wasn't a dominant scorer, but you did
But
still
in the
defend him like
in the
he wasn't an
playoffs,
efficient scorer.
in the
He was
playoffs,
a great
he
scorer in the
averaged 30.
postseason. The efficiency just took a dip.
John, even if he wasn't an efficient scorer in the playoffs, overall his shooting percentage in the playoffs is just 1% shot.
Oh
Halliburton.
God, I
I
don't
saw you mention
care.
that earlier.
I
Let's
don't
try like
care.
If you
Free
take
throw
Harden's prime year,
merchant.
the true shooting's still like 3%.
But free
lower now.
free throws matter because
Stop
he's getting
being
to
a
the paint.
nerd. You're not a
No.
nerd. You're
It is
not.
nerdy. But even still, if you take Harden's prime years, 2013, like 2019, his true shooting's 3% lower than Halliburton in the postseason. I think that's a more meaningful difference, even if you do account for 3 throws.
Are you not accounting for the scalability and volume that Halliburton clearly
That
hasn't
matters.
had?
That's
Joel's
because
right
the
there.
biggest reason why.
Because Halliburton tonight had 17, but it was more like a 5-point performance,
Mhm.
and that's because he's not emptying the clip.
Mhm.
And Harden will have inefficient performances,
It's a
but
fact.
for me, I value a player in the playoffs who can get to his spots and take shots, even if it's not 50% from the field. Harden's still giving me 30 in the playoffs. He's still
I'm
giving
with
me
you.
that point production.
You're
Halliburton
right.
has shown to this point he has games and flashes where he has monster scoring nights, but for the most part, he is not able to consistently put up 25 shots a night. And that's why
That's
his
good.
efficiency looks prettier than Harden, because he's not taking as many shots.
He's
That's
also
true.
a cleaner playmaker. Like Harden's a great
Decision-making
playmaker.
right
I'm
now.
not trying to say he's not, obviously.
Harden's a better playmaker than him.
Not in the postseason. And
You
I
know
feel like
what?
it's manifest. The Pacers' offense
if you
has
just
been
say
better
that
in those time years.
playmaking is everything offensively, like I
Hard-
guess.
Not even
But-
that. I'm just speaking as a passer. Harden,
Oh, he's
what,
not.
what
I
makes
don't know.
him
I
what
don't
makes him a better playmaker is that he can hit prime Harden. We're talking about prime Harden.
Yeah, but
Prime Harden can
what's the
get to the
turnovers?
paint at will. Anytime he wanted, he can get to the paint. Halliburton doesn't have that type of driving ability
You are
that Prime
taking
had.
everything
Harden had.
offensively
No, but
into account.
there's a thing. Playmaking comes with getting into the paint.
See,
If
I
you-
agree with
if
what
you
you're saying.
can't, if you can't get into the paint consistently, you're not driving the defense to you consistently. And that's why we see Halliburton, he's getting played a lot one-on-one. Harden, because he's able to get a foot in the paint, he's able to make more passes across the court. So, and he's able to have a lot of the defenders sag off bigs, and then that's the lob that he loved to throw a lot.
The answer is James Harden. I don't care how inefficient he was in the postseason. I'm taking James Harden. He's a
John,
better
I
player
set
in
you
a
up here.
vacuum.
My bad.
Simple.
I
Yeah, I
set
don't
you
really
up
care
here. I
because
didn't
I'm
mean to.
not gonna leave my hill. Sorry, Joe.
I wanted to hear just to get a little, just some, some laughs, some LOLs, but then I didn't want to get into a Harden, Halliburton
No.
debate
You
again.
like
You know what I mean?
Joel. Respectfully, that was very dumb of you. Like you don't know who is to the left of me.
I mean,
I
listen,
thought maybe you
think
could just move
the-
past it, just a little jab. Just
the
move
thing,
past
the
it.
thing about it is that like CP3 in a regular season is 18-10, 18-10 around there in the regular season at his best. It's easier to go from 18 a night in a regular season to 23 a night in the playoffs. It's harder to go from 35 in the regular season or 30 consistently to anything higher than that. Like, that's very difficult. So like the fact that Harden, even if he's not scoring efficiently, I think you have to take into account who he lost to. In all his years in Houston, he lost once to Dame and the Blazers. That wasn't a good loss. But then we talk about the Spurs, and then every other year the Warriors.
You're right.
I mean, Halliburton's not getting past that Spurs team or that Warriors team.
That's fair, but the Pacers this postseason beat a 64-win team. Last year they played the Celtics, which was a dominant.
They were
team.
injured, John.
They're still playing dominant teams. Either
They
way.
were injured though.
And
I mean, the
my last
Cavaliers
thought-
were dominant this postseason in the second
Regular
round.
season.
The Celtics last year were a dominant team in every
Swept
single,
them.
no matter
They
how
got
long.
swept.
Hey, most
And
competitive
They were
series.
competitive and they're more competitive.
All right,
competitive
but it
series.
was
Look, the Mavericks
competitive,
beat
but they
the
still got
Celtics. They were
swept.
way more competitive than the Mavericks were.
We
But my
value
final
competitive
thought with this
sweeps
is
on
gonna
this
be-
show. We value competitive sweeps.
I do. I value the way it looks. But my final thought's going to be the Pacers offense. It's been on a different tier than those Rockets offenses, and Halliburton's
No, it's not
scalability. Like
been.
you look at offensive rating. Absolutely, you're talking about true shooting before. You measure offense based off of how many points you're generating per 100 possessions, and these Pacers offenses have been better in the postseason. And I think that's because of Halliburton's scalability, and that's an objective fact. I'll pull up the data. I've already looked at it before.
You're not adjusting for pace in the era.
Yeah, 'cause the
Harden's
Pacers-
prime was 7 years ago. But also, you're lying right now by saying that this Cavs team was a dominant Cavs team. You're
I said there was
lying.
regular
64 wins.
season?
You're lying.
I never
In
said
the-
I said there were 64
They had over
wins.
60
you
wins.
said
You said
you
67.
said the Pacers beat a dominant 64 win team.
Yeah, my fault.
I'd never said they're even dominant. So you say I lied.
Yes,
that's
you
what I never
did.
said. So I don't know what that
You
says.
said
about me.
they beat a dominant 64 win teams in the playoffs.
And you weren't listening. I said they beat
Yes.
a dominant team. I said they played a dominant Celtic team. I said they beat a 64-win team. That's what I said.
So if I pull up the clip of you saying dominant and then labeling the Cavs as
I don't
dominant,
care what you pull up. 'Cause that's what I
Okay.
meant. That's all that matters.
Okay, but what team has Halliburton beat in the playoffs that's been a dominant playoff team thus far
Yo,
Story's still being
in
written.
his
man.
career?
bro,
Story's still being written, my man.
come on, man.
Okay.
We're
Harden.
gonna finish this debate on the next episode of Pick a Side. Be
Ah,
there.
man, it's going nowhere, this debate.
No, there is
It really is going
there is no debate. I mean, this is
There is no debate.
Yeah,
That's a
th-
fact. Everyone agrees
no,
there's
there
no
is
debate.
no-
So
there is no
what's the
debate.
point of debating?
yeah, no.
Joel told me behind the
They
scenes
were
how he
injured,
really
John.
feels. So
John,
I
they
think
were
that's what-
injured, but
don't think
guess
I
what,
forget.
pal?
I know how you really feel,
John's
Joel.
about to leak some personal.
Oh,
No, I told
shit.
John, listen, in the playoffs, in terms of a
interesting.
closeout
truth.
game and who I trust in the playoffs,
And
I
the
mean,
truth
Halliburton
comes out.
Halliburton has been clutch in
John,
the
I love
playoffs to a point that we have not
Love that.
seen. 5 go ahead or game time shots in the last 5 seconds.
Oh, so
He's
you got
already
Hallie
tied
over
second
Harden.
in terms of just trust, not a better
Got it.
player. I don't think Hallie's
Just
anywhere
trust?
near the
This-
player that Prime Harden is. But in terms of
Go
like a
hand in hand,
trust,
no?
no. In terms of like a trust factor in a big game, yeah, Halliburton has a legitimate argument for a
John,
big game. The trust factor,
Don't
for
let them
sure.
gaslight you into
I know my
not
truth.
saying
I'm not even trying to argue. I just know my truth and I stick to
the
it.
Cavs were injured, yet their guys played. Just saying, keep that in mind. They were injured.
They were out there.
They were out there.
Garland couldn't move.
No, they were
He really
messed up.
couldn't move.
Garland was definitely
With
messed up.
exception to Garland.
Like, no.
Garland
Garland
should
and
not
Harden
have
were bomb.
played.
They were not right. But everyone else,
I didn't know, me personally, that Garland was the difference maker in that series being a 5-game series. Excuse
5
me.
games.
It was 5. Yeah.
5
And
games.
and I mean that's including like a historic blowout in there too.
Yeah, I mean,
know
I
what I
just
mean? Like-
I don't think that the Cavaliers team was anything close to the Cavs team that we saw in the regular season. I just don't
Hell
think. I
no.
think that if you're saying that, that's a lie.
They
Like, I think
weren't
that's
that
just a
the
lie.
entire 2025, though.
They were still a great team.
They were great,
They were top
agreed.
5 in net rating. They just weren't that. And just back to the Harden thing, I just think that we're underrated the teams that he lost to. Like the teams that he lost to were historically great teams.
Yeah, we heard you
Yeah.
the first time, pal.
Yes. Like the war, nobody's getting past the Warriors. Nobody.
Well,
Especially during
LeBron
that
beat
era.
him.
LeBron is.
LeBron beat him.
LeBron and
Now
Kyrie.
with KD, when KD
Daddy
got there,
beat him.
when
I
K
mean,
when KD got
LeBron.
there, KD whooped LeBron's ass in the finals. 100%.
100%.
Hit the-
You know, it's
hit the
crazy.
dagger on him.
Harden's still sitting on 0.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I
And
mean,
then he had
he's
to
a-
go team up with KD again to still lose.
what matters is Harden's influence across the league. And you look at that Nembhard shot that iced the game for the Pacers. One of the shots iced the game. We know the Halliburton shot iced the game. That's a Harden step back play. I mean, his play is influential and revolutionary across
To
the
bring
league.
the game with, I think it was a 2-score game.
That was a
Good
big
shot,
shot.
though.
That was
Good
a big
shot.
shot.
That was
Great
one of the
shot.
toughest shots I've seen.
That was a
Amazing
big shot.
shot.
The Halliburton game winner was the shot that won in the game.
When he broke
Then-
down SGA,
The Nembhard
He-
shot
yeah,
was
Shea go,
the
whoop.
shot of game 1.
That was
That
so
was
dirty.
The shot
incredibly tough. It was
that
incredibly
everybody
tough.
was like, yeah, this was the toughest shot of game 1.
It takes
It
some
was
cojones
cool
to
as
do
sin.
that.
He's
Yeah.
got a bag, man. He's got a bag.
He made me a bad guy with that possession.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no stock in Nembhard until April comes around. That's just that's my vibe from
He's
here
a
on
hooper,
out.
man. He really is. Defend,
April
yeah.
comes around, I'm here. From October to March, no thanks.
This is a good question, RJ to God. I guess the question comes down to which team is better without their best player, the Rockets or Pacers?
And
It depends. Chris
that's a
Paul
good
Rockets or no
question.
Chris Paul? If
That's
it's
a
Chris Paul
good
Rockets,
question.
I can go either way.
No. I
The
think
Pacers were terrible. Are terrible
The
without
Pacers are
Hallie.
better. The Pacers are better without their
Yeah,
best player.
But for sure, the Pacers are still better than the Rockets.
I think
I'm
it's
just saying,
tricky.
if you pluck both players out and how the team would run, the Pacers are going to
I
have more
agree
success than the
wholeheartedly.
Rockets.
because of the positional depth, they've got 3-point guards.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
When you look
just the
at the-
offense flows more.
when you look at like that 28 team with Chris Paul, he's such a high floor raiser. Then I think those 2 years you can go either way. But non-Chris Paul years, it's the Pacers.
I think only 2018 you got that. 2019 Chris
That's all
Paul
I
didn't
care
look.
about when it comes
that
to
great.
Harden, genuinely, because that was his best chance to win a chip.
Because we kind of forget how strong that supporting cast was. Joel's guy, PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, Trevor Ariza. I know in Game 7 they disappeared, but for the entirety of that season, they're key components of a 65-win team. And then
That was a good team.
Clint Capella even went to Atlanta and had a ton of success too.
Team was amazing. They
For
took the
1 year.
best team,
Yeah.
arguably ever, to Game 7.
Yeah, that was
That's
a
what I'm
great
saying.
team.
You
Great.
could Chris Paul that cast, I think that Rocket team in 18 would be better, but that's it.
Yeah, in 18. I think so. But I don't know because the Pacers will still have Pascal Siakam.
Again, Dells, this is your fault.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we already settled it. The Pacers are the better team. The Pacers are going to be the better team, so there's no need to, you know what I mean?
All right, we'll get out of here so Dels can walk his dog.
I gotta walk
All right.
my dog too, Dels. How about us?
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next time.